For some, the GoPro Hero is going to be a really compelling device. For some, it won't be. Hi, Josh Koerner. Recorded the rest of this video before the GoPro Hero actually had come out. This is coming to you from the present, since it has, and I'd love to spend a minute with you talking about what we know about this camera now, kind of first impressions that are not hands-on, so we can get on the same page before we dive into the backstory that is actually the backstory now. So the GoPro Hero shoots 1440p at 60 frames per second, 1080p 60. Neither of those, I think, are enough. If it was 1440p 120, 1080p 240, if there was a 4K 30 option in there, I think all of those would make this a fantastic value for money. As it is, I don't believe it's a great value for money, but I do think that it's a very fun toy. I don't think that it's a tool. So if you'd like to have a device to make serious videos with, I'd recommend looking at either one of Sony's action cameras mostly. Sony's action cameras have better stabilization, have larger sensors in them, so their bit rates are better, all that. Getting back to the GoPro Hero though, the GoPro Hero is going to be tons of fun, and because of the cost that they're bringing it in at $200, the price rather, it's going to be fantastic for people like probably you and I, because you're interested, that don't have a huge amount of superfluous money sitting around for superfluous camera gear. And so this is going to be a great device for us to be able to say, I have an action camera, I'm not super serious about it, it's more for fun. Maybe I'll add it into a video that I make, but probably not. It's more for my own self-satisfaction at having been able to capture this cool thing. And as that, I think the GoPro Hero is fantastic. As a serious tool for a project that we're serious about, I don't think that it's really gonna hack it. I don't think any of the GoPro line of cameras really is. And that's a little bit unfortunate, but I think that we gotta accept that the color that we're getting out of GoPro is not going to be as nuanced or as pleasing as the color out of Apple, Samsung, Google, Huawei, or a Canon, Nikon, Sony, whomever, right? The color sciences that we're seeing out of deeper product lines from other manufacturers are going to be better, even if they're a phone company. So I think that a GoPro is a very fun piece of kit for hobbyists, for casuals, for vacationers, not so much for serious users. Let's get to the video I made a little bit ago, and I hope that the market commentary that it provides will also bring value to the way that you're thinking about this, because it brings in a little bit more to the conversation, a little bit more backstory. So anyway, thank you very much, and let's scooch on over there. GoPro's been on the rocks for a while. If memory serves, they let go something like 300 employees last year. Their Karma drone literally falling out of the sky had to recall all of them, huge financial hit. It's been a rough couple of years. With the Karma in particular, when it was released, it was already outclassed by DJI, and then when they re-released it, it was even further outclassed by DJI because they'd had a chance to see what it was and make a better one. The GoPro Hero 6 Black, I think, is the most recent GoPro. You probably care more than I do. The big, top line takeaway is that it was a huge disappointment for the market, on the whole, right? Because it didn't really offer fantastic improvements over the Hero 5. The improvements over the Hero 5 that it made were ones that should have been in the Hero 5 in the first. There are really only so many people that are going to buy action cameras. That market space is nearly, if it isn't already, at saturation. The product the GoPro needed to release was greater than 4K 60 in terms of frame rate, I'd argue. 2.7K 120, it just really needed to push it with bit rates, with frame rates, with color depth. It had to be exciting, and the Hero 6 Black was anything but exciting. The microphone was consistently reviewed as not being as good, and the stabilizer, although it was very nice, was not available in all frame rates, frame sizes. With that backstory, we're gonna dive into the baby GoPro. And yes, I said GoPro because this device is aimed at growing their sales, their revenue, all that. GoPro as a company just licensed out basically everything that they do to a Chinese company. So all their tech, all their proprietary everything, the branding, the brand name, all of it to this Chinese company. So GoPro had to respond quickly to that in order to be able to keep some of their brand equity before it, you know, turns into Chinese crap. They had to have something to market first, and the baby GoPro is going to be fantastic for consumers who aren't smart buyers. The thing about GoPros is that they're fantastic devices. No one's gonna doubt that, no one's gonna naysay that, but they're very much overpriced for consumers, for creators at whom they're not directly and quite very specifically narrowly aimed at. I'd love to have 4 GoPros and mount them everywhere and, you know, mount one to the iPad that I have my script on right now and have a new perspective, you know, on my car for a vlog, whatever. I think that would be really cool, but they're overpriced. They do have fantastic brand equity though, although their CEO shouting at product releases is a huge turnoff, I won't lie. In hopefully fewer words than I typically manage to get out, the baby GoPro is one, intended to hit mass markets the way their more expensive devices haven't, provide a lot of value for the dollar within, you know, to really capture that market's attention. And that's because the Hero Session products haven't managed to sell really well from everything that I've seen, because who in their right mind would buy a device that doesn't have an interchangeable battery? My partner's brother, but that's besides the... It's hard to figure out why people don't buy those. But the baby GoPro does seem to actually be offering pretty good value for money. At 1440p 60, 1080p 60, those are common frame rates for nice and easy half-speed slow motion. At the $200 bracket, that's going to be a good value for money. I would argue that I believe that GoPro should make that frame rate higher to be better value for money, so that people gravitate towards that. Industry users and creators who aren't quite as serious as would require you to be in order to buy a flagship device to really kind of suck you in. 1440p is on the lower end between 1080 and 2160 on the vertical, but it is more than 1080. It is going to resolve well. You can probably upsample or downsample reasonably, and it's a fairly common resolution. Realistically, they should have included 120 or 240 FPS on the 1080 side, but the 60p will give some nice slow motion. I would further argue that GoPro should have, you know, tried out a 1-inch sensor and enhanced feature set, really as much as possible to blow consumers out of the water, because they've been their brand equity. GoPro as a brand has been suffering these last couple of years. The baby GoPro is not going to offer better image quality than your smartphone. The color science that goes into an Apple iPhone, a Google Pixel, a Huawei, or a Samsung LG is going to be better than you're going to see on a GoPro. But you're also only going to pay $200 for it, and it is waterproof, and it has better, more useful frame rates at more useful bit rates. The baby GoPro is also priced very specifically to help GoPro stay afloat financially. It's going to be a great revenue option for them. The other thing about the baby GoPro is that people like you and I that don't have a huge amount of disposable income to spend on cameras, it's going to be an achievable GoPro. It feels like, as my number 5, that the baby GoPro is a device that everyone seems to be ignoring has already been made before. GoPro used to have a Hero, and then a GoPro Hero, and then a Hero number, and then Hero number, you know, insert color or metal type here. And then they came out with the Session, which was supposed to be that entry-level whet your appetite piece, but the actual Hero model is a way better camera for a lot of reasons, not the least of which being you can change out the battery. The interface design with the Sessions is awful. It's just bad. What that means is that the baby GoPro is functionally like a 3 or 4 year old device, just in case anybody wasn't keeping track. In my opinion, this is a huge mistake. GoPro has been making mistakes for a while. They're driving themselves into the ground. In my opinion, they should have kept up the Hero line of products. They were best sellers, they were great value offerings, and they wanted to transfer those sales into a higher dollar value, higher revenue, higher profit margin device, the flagships, the Hero X Black, and introductory models that were fundamentally crippled. I'm harping on that, but it's true. Obviously, this hasn't worked, right? The flagships haven't been able to yield the volume to get the revenue and the profit margins to really work out. The karma failing really didn't help out either. The hero sessions were less a thing to whet your appetite and more to say, okay, I'm never going to do this again. I'd argue that GoPro needs to put 4K in this with stabilization. I'd say 1080, 120, or 240, like I was mentioning earlier, 2.7K with 120, to make that value proposition so great that they don't make the same mistake again. That's the way that GoPro needs to get back into the market, provide a ton of value, an absolutely inordinate amount of value, so that it's stupid for people to not buy your product. Your profit margins are way lower. You might even make a little bit of a loss on it, right? But the volume that you're going to do is going to make up for that, and that volume is going to bring your profits back in. Their lower volume, higher profit strategy clearly hasn't worked out. Their investment into tech with drones, with the quick stories, whatever it's called, hasn't really worked out as selling features. Introductory products to get people into their devices hasn't worked either. A great example for that would be that you can't put a session, a Hero 5 or Hero 6 session, onto either the Karma Grip or the Karma Drone. That should be standard accessible, compatible. I've said before, the drone didn't work out, the grip didn't work out, the Hero 6 is what the Hero 5 should have been. Not much has worked out for GoPro lately. They saturated their own market that they basically created by themselves, and then when competitors swarmed in and took the rest of the market, oftentimes providing better value for money, better products in the first place, GoPro didn't respond very well. Maybe GoPro looks like a compelling device for largely ignorant consumers, not for people that are going to be watching this video. It might be fun, but it's not going to be compelling for you and I. It feels to me like the last-ditch effort of a one-trick pony. Thank you very much for your time with me in this video. It was a touch negative. I think that the baby GoPro could turn out to be good, but it really needs to blow it out of the park for it to mean something for GoPro as a company. It's a shame, because I think that they just haven't realized that most of their market has been, you know, tourist couples in Cancun or wherever that want a little camera so that's waterproof, so they can capture their fun beach vacation or whatever. And you know, they're buying a Hero 3 that's $199 that the vendor got it for, I don't know, probably $50 wholesale. So the profit margins, where the money is going and coming from, just isn't what GoPro wants it to be. And so GoPro needs to take a much better control of the market, control MSRP a lot better. They need to provide a lot better value proposition in their low-end devices, and then they need to properly innovate with their flagship devices. A 1-inch sensor, for example, on the flagship model at the same price with better bit rates, better color depth, better dynamic range, better everything, could make a substantial difference. And realistically, it wouldn't mean a huge difference in size. The Fusion 360-degree camera is cool, but you can get a 360-degree camera from Ricoh Theta for less money. And for most people, it's not going to be a content creation tool, it's going to be a fun toy. And so 360 hasn't really caught on in the first place. You can't offer a product for $650 and expect people to fall over themselves for it when it's not as waterproof. It doesn't have the same action camera qualities that GoPro is known for, when there are options that fill that niche for a fun 360 toy so much better, right? I mean, and then when you do that with, say, a Ricoh Theta, and then you go up with that system because you've bought the entry-level one, you know it's good, you like it, and you're not going to get it wet. So, you know, I think that GoPro needs to really take a long, hard look at what they're trying to do, what their mandate is, what the niche is that they're trying to fill, how they can provide value, how they can segment their own market more effectively. It's not going to be something I say very often, but they need to, because they really haven't nailed it. And I want GoPro to succeed, because I think they're a fun company. I think they support a lot of cool people, athletes that could use that kind of support. But anyway, thank you very much for your time and for your attention. Hope it wasn't too negative. I am hopeful, but I'm not expectant.